So during this April Fools, Enlisted has a lot of interesting things that occurred. One of the most interesting things, however, is not even from Enlisted. It is actually from War Thunder, and the reason why is quite simple. War Thunder has released two trailers, one is of World War I, and one is of the modern era. To be exact, both of them, most importantly, contains images and videos of infantry. To be exact, infantry in World War I and modern era infantry. This has led to many to speculate, oh my god, is Enlisted and War Thunder going to be merging, or is War Thunder adding infantry? And if it does, rightfully most people are going to suspect that Enlisted is just going to be killed, because, well, War Thunder, let's be honest, is much better in terms of tanks, and if they add infantry, it has practically the ability to kill Enlisted. So without further ado, this video we're going to be talking about how or whether or not War Thunder should add infantry and what it will look like, and not to mention the fact that if that does happen, where Enlisted would go. So without further ado, let's get started. Before even starting, we have to talk about one thing, and that is the fact that it is an April Fool's event. For those who don't know, I actually asked around and asked a few community managers, and then asked specifically, is this only, and yes, only, is this only for an War Thunder event? And the answer was yes, it was only for a War Thunder event. Meaning that as of right now, War Thunder only has the ability, or only wants to make this as an event, and as of right now currently has no big plans to essentially add infantry into War Thunder. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that they are not going to be testing infantry in War Thunder. It just means that, as of right now, they're not actively trying to add stuff into War Thunder, infantry into War Thunder to be exact. Hence, with that out of the way, let's talk about what Enlisted would look like if War Thunder practically adds infantry. To be exact, this question should be more along the lines of how War Thunder would look like if War Thunder adds infantry. And let's get started. For one, I do think that War Thunder could benefit a lot from adding infantry. For those who don't know, I essentially like War Thunder and Enlisted. I just love Enlisted more because Enlisted is much more fun. There is not that much of a grind, and especially if you don't really want to grind that much. Granted, the Enlisted grind is actually slightly better than the War Thunder grind, so that's that. But if you add in the whole scheme of things, the entire War Thunder grind is actually not that bad, considering the fact that what makes it so bad is the fact that you will have all the way to the modern era. That is kind of bad. So that's that. However, if War Thunder was to add infantry, what's going to happen is the fact that people are going to be playing War Thunder much more. I do think that Enlisted is going to be practically dying out, since not a lot of people would look to Enlisted as, well, War Thunder plus infantry. But War Thunder itself already has infantry, so why is everyone playing Enlisted? Of course, Enlisted had some much unique factors, such as the squad system, in which I think it's unique. Which leads me on to the next point. Since War Thunder is essentially going to kill Enlisted, what should War Thunder implement from Enlisted, and what should War Thunder turn into? For the stuff I think that for those people who's playing or been playing Enlisted, I do think they should have a mechanism to transfer their Enlisted account to the War Thunder account, meaning that if you have a War Thunder account and doesn't have the infantry, all the infantry stuff you can essentially give to your War Thunder account. Meaning that people who have played Enlisted doesn't have to regrind the entire thing again. That's just gonna make people angry, especially if it's from the same company and people are essentially have played Enlisted. Hence, I think that's an idea that Enlisted should definitely implement, because if they don't, people will be angry, and people are already going to be asking the question of why the heck did I grind Enlisted? So that's that. But one of the stuff that War Thunder should really implement is the Enlisted Squad system. The Enlisted Squad system is actually quite fun. For those who don't know, World War II was a large war. This should come as zero surprise to everyone, and every other war is a large war. So what I think Enlisted and / War Thunder would do to make it larger is to make a squad system, in which you have a squad, and you just run around with your squad, and you can use what essentially Enlisted does for their squads. I think that's a very good idea for War Thunder to think about, and I do think it's going to make the game larger, which is something that I really am looking toward. Moving on, another thing that I really would like to see is that infantry should go all the way up to modern era. I think that's a great idea, and I think that's a very unique thing to do for any game as of right now. Granted, as of right now, there are not a lot of games that have a squad system and as detailed as a weapons model as War Thunder, nor do they have all the unique stuff that we have in Enlisted, so that's that. In my personal opinion, this is actually, out of all the ideas, a better idea. Adding War Thunder into Enlisted needs to be one of those things that they should do, but, like I said, was for an April Fool's event, meaning that it's not really likely as of right now. Maybe in 2, 10, 5 years it would be likely, but I don't think it's likely. If War Thunder would have just added infantry, and if Enlisted was a testbed, they could have tested it in War Thunder via events, and they could have essentially done it and put it in War Thunder and called it a day. But instead they made Enlisted. And I doubt it's because Enlisted wants to do all the crazy most people think Enlisted will want to say. For example, some people have been calling Enlisted as a way for Gaijin to essentially launder their money. I think that is interesting. But honestly, I do think that they created Enlisted for a reason. And I do think, as of right now, they're not gonna essentially turn War Thunder into Enlisted with all the stuff. Now, I say that in the sense that I don't think right now. I do think it's a good idea in the long run, but it requires so many things that I don't even think War Thunder and Enlisted added together are able to do. So that's that. In my personal opinion, this is all it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord. To recap, no, War Thunder is not going to be adding infantry unless this is another April Fool's event, so no. And Enlisted is definitely not going to be killed, because War Thunder is not going to be adding infantry anytime soon. And if it does add infantry anytime soon, I do suggest a merge, of which War Thunder is essentially Enlisted 2.0, and Enlisted is essentially War Thunder 2.0, which means that Enlisted is going to be killed, replaced by War Thunder, and that makes War Thunder even more popular. And, of course, I do suggest that if they do it, Enlisted players should be getting a certain way to essentially transfer all their hard-earned stuff into War Thunder, so that's that. But that is all it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord, and I'll see you in the next one.